Kev, we are back, and this was day 99, man. I mean, 99 days and a Paul ain't one.
That's not bad, actually. 99 days, but Nick, it felt like 100 days. I got to be honest with you. It felt like one extra day.
Wow, what a stretch. I mean, dude, I don't even know if we can't even talk about anything other than what happened tonight, dude. It was so shocking, so blown away. I have so many theories and conspiracy theories and, like, why I think this way. I mean, dude, Paul didn't win. Paul did not win. Nicole won Big Brother 18.
It's unbelievable. I mean, all of us, I feel like everybody watching Big Brother down the stretch, you knew Paul was going to win that final HOH. You knew he was. And really, I think for everybody, you're thinking Paul is a shoo-in to win the money. What scenario does Paul not win the money? The only scenario is he's not taken to the final two. But then sure enough, he wins it. And Nick, he picks Nicole, and his reasoning, right? Let's talk about that first of all. The reasoning that he gave for picking Nicole was all around the fact that James wasn't who cares who's trustworthy at this point? It doesn't matter who lied to you. All it matters is who you can beat sitting next to you, right?
So I have two different opinions on this. One is there must be a lot of information that we don't know inside the house, right? So maybe from his perspective and all of the other perspectives and knowledge that he has that never made it to the show, that never made it even, potentially to the live feeds that we picked up on, that he knew how popular James was amongst the house guests. That is something that we don't know. That's one theory that suggests that maybe he was like, you know what? Maybe it doesn't actually matter, and maybe it'll look good on my game. It'll look good for me if I vote out the person that was least loyal, because then it'll look like he chose someone that was in fact loyal, which then would make the jury vote for him. That's the only scenario that I could possibly think of that was a thread of logic for why he would do that, because otherwise it makes no sense. James would be such a perfect person to take him to the final two because he didn't do anything. He did nothing. Even Julie called him out.
Yeah. It's going to be an 8-1 win for Paul. Natalie will vote for James. Everybody else will vote for Paul. Now, the only other thing, Nick, I could see, and I like your point about all the information that we don't know. Maybe some of the live feeders that watch our show can tell us if maybe in the live feeds we missed something. But I also wonder, Nick, if this is kind of just who Paul is, right? Because during the entire season, he didn't really do anything the easy way, right? He was always a threat. He was pretty overconfident, pretty cocky, and he never really took the easy way out in the game. So I wonder if this is just in Paul's core. This is who he is. He kind of doesn't know how to take the easy road. He always takes the hard road. And I do wonder if his ego and his overconfidence got the best of him a little bit. And he was a showman throughout this season. Maybe he thought it would be a little bit more compelling television to bring Nicole to the end, but ultimately I think this might have been an ego thing as well. He thought that he was going to be able to beat them both, and he thought that beating Nicole would look better than beating James. But it was a very, very curious, and ultimately I would call it a Cody decision. Cody brought Derek. But that was the thing. You can understand Cody bringing Derek because they were together for the entire show. But James and Nicole were not with Paul for the whole show, which made it all the more curious. We are on the same page with that. I mean, he also said, before he went in, before we actually heard this live speech, he said, well, I think I can beat them both, so what's the difference, right? So, yeah, maybe he just doesn't know how to take the easy street. But here's something, and this is a long pass, okay? And you know me. I love my long passes. I love my conspiracy theories. I love really far-reaching stuff. I wonder, since I was on the show and I, got a taste of it myself, I wonder how much CBS has to do with the decision of the jury members by talking to them in a certain way and maybe coercing them. Because, dude, we had the most bizarre voting, the people that voted for who they did, totally opposite of what I thought, other than the fact of Natalie voting, the way she did. And Victor. Yeah.
But other than that, it made kind of no sense, right? Why would James vote for Paul, who he just evicted him? and then he's going to vote.
Well,
Like, there's so many weird things.
And it ultimately came down to Davon, which the whole time it looked like she even said, she made a comment. I don't remember what it was exactly, but it sounded like she wanted Paul to win. And then she votes for Nicole.
Here's my conspiracy theory. Their Big Brother's always been able to do this, right? And they've done a great job of it throughout history, right? Whatever is relevant in the news, whatever is happening like outside of the house, they tend to make it a part of the show. And I kind of think, again, conspiracy theory, just really don't, I think they made an example here with everything that is going on with like, the women in the workplace and like women's rights. I honestly think that this was like, they're going to make an example. There's never been like a male-female, the female has won. I think, unfortunately, the axe fell on Paul.
Possibly. I mean, here's the thing, Nick. With Paul not bringing James, essentially not taking an easy $500,000, we're forced to speculate because it just, on the surface, it doesn't make sense. I think it's really cool that we finally have a woman who's winner. I mean, there hasn't been a woman since, Rachel? And then there's never been, as you said, a woman to beat a man. I think that's great. I think that's really neat. It's fun for the show. But the process, Nick, is what we're talking about. It doesn't make sense that Paul would take Nicole. So it's forcing us to come up with these theories.
I think the sex doesn't matter at all. Look, I mean, like, if you're a girl going up against a guy and the girl is obviously the better choice, yeah, go for it. Like, have no problem with that, right? But this is a scenario where it was pretty obvious, like, that Paul played the better game. Like, totally all things aside, right? Like, I have no problem if a girl wins over a guy. Like, it's all about the best gameplay. It just was so bizarre. It was so strange. It felt kind of forced. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, and I absolutely agree with you. And for Paul bringing Nicole, he suddenly puts gender into the decision for the jury members. We see it every single season. Usually gender divides the house at some point. All the girls want to get together. The guys want to get together. If Paul had taken James, he takes gender out of the equation, which was another curious thing. But to bring Nicole in, suddenly he might get that female vote. So all the way around, didn't make sense. Paul's ultimately, I think, gonna be kicking himself. He codied away $500,000 here, Nick.
And the other thing that we now have to look at is we now have to be blessed with Nicole's voice for forever. We'll never be able to get, she's going to be back for everything. You know what I mean? Like, I
know. Nick, she's going to be speaking in questions for as long as Big Brother is a show on CBS. I mean, will that girl go down at the end of one of her sentences, please, and not go up with her voice?
I don't think so. It's not possible.
You know what? I want to see 24/7 channel with Nicole talking to Bronte. And you know what? That's what they should do next season on Big Brother. They should put 16 people in a room. They should have a screen up, and people should have to watch Nicole and Bronte have a conversation for 24/7. And they will systematically, those people will leave the room. The last person in that room that will sit there and listen to Nicole and Bronte talk is your winner of next season's Big Brother.
First of all, it's illegal in the United States of America. We have this clause against cruel and unusual punishment. I don't know if you knew that or not. That's actually it. Yeah, it's like a thing. We can't do that.
Well, bummer. It was a good idea.
It was a good idea.
I guess we'll have to ship that over. We'll have to ship that over to some country that doesn't worry about cruel and unusual
doesn't
punishment.
have laws.
So that was obvious. Yeah, a lawless country there for that. Ship over Nicole and Bronte. Well, yeah, that was, I think, the most shocking thing.
We could always film it on the moon, because it's an international, intergalactic. I don't think the rules apply there. We could do it.
Yeah, send them to the moon. I like it. Yeah.
But Kev, as always, I wrote down notes because this was an exciting episode. A lot of stuff happened.
Let's go, man. Let's go. A lot to talk about.
All right, here we go. So first of all, day 99, couldn't believe it. I mean, that's 3 months. Yeah, I mean, they've been 3 months in the house. I'm sure they've.
Yes, it is.
I have a friend, Phil Berman, who works at CBS, so he gets to go to the backyard, and he actually got to talk to Paul and all the other house guests and whatever. And he said everyone was extremely nice, they're all very personable. And I kept thinking to myself, yeah, man, could you imagine being away for the entire summer and then finally meeting another human being? I mean, you must be so excited, right? It's like that movie Waterworld. It's like, wow, there's other people in the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be crazy.
Or like, those miners that were trapped forever, and then suddenly, somebody comes in and they come out of the mine and they see other human beings. I'm sure it's a very surreal experience for them.
I'm sure I'm sure they're actually like really excited. They're excited, one, to like, Big Brother is very stressful, but they're excited to get back into the real world where there is like, it's like being born again, there's all this newness, and they get to like consume all of the stuff that they've basically forgotten about that even existed. And they'll be blessed with, an iPhone that doesn't have a little, a little plug-in now. The future.
Yeah. So welcome to the future. So tell us, Nick, what do you think the hardest part being in the house? What's the hardest part for these contestants coming out back and here into the real world?
It's going to be so difficult to stop playing the game. So your brain has literally been conditioned to think that every move, every word, everything that comes out of anyone else's mouth is motivated. And a lot of other house guests have said this. I mean, I'm not the only one who felt this or thought this or, post Big Brother 15, 16, 17, talking to the house guests, everyone says the same thing. It's so hard to let the game go, and then the game kind of like bleeds into your personal life. So like your mom will be like, oh, you did such a good job. Do you want pancakes? And you're like, yes, I do. But why would she think that? Mom, who are you talking to? It's all up in your head. Like,
Mom, are you trying to literally vote me out of this house right now? The house that I was born in? I can see how that would be a blur. We got to team up against Mom, talking like the cat and everything. I'm sure it messes with your head.
I can see through you, Mom. I'm not accepting these pancakes. Yeah, like, it gets weird. In the opening line here, I thought it was really interesting. They talked about Corey, a showmance, and a bromance. And they said Corey was no Maury. I think that takes the cake for the best pun that I think the announcer has ever said. I mean, that actually kind of blows away friendship and all the other things that were said. This ridiculous stuff. Corey, no Maury. That one wins.
Yeah, I wonder if that poor announcer at some point just throws the script up and I'm done, I'm out of here, because he just can't say he's just tired of saying these puns. And because it does, I don't know if if it's every season or if it's just recency effect for us, but this season seems to be the most ridiculous in terms of the stuff they're having the announcer read. It just gets more and more extreme every single episode.
So extreme, dude. Speaking of extreme and not extreme, Paul wins the first HOH. James, not extreme, falls off immediately right after Nicole. Right after. And then in that little post time, he's like, I really wanted to win. It's like they don't care. I mean, I don't know. For whatever reason, I feel just as the viewer consuming what they're telling, I feel like they just don't care. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I don't understand James either. He did have a great social game, but you're waiting for him at some point. All right, now's the time he's going to turn it on as far as the competitions. Now's the time he's going to turn it on. And it just seemed like he was ho-hum. I mean, he might have thought that Nicole or Paul were probably going to take him because in his mind, they probably had the best shot to win by taking him. So maybe he kind of didn't care. Maybe he didn't care. He thought either way, either he's going to win it or one of the two of them are going to take him, I guess.
Logically speaking, it would make the most sense that someone would take... I mean, if Nicole won, I'm pretty sure she would have taken James. Flat out.
I think so, too. Yeah. Can we also give a little bit of kudos here to the comp creators? I mean, those were two pretty clever comps, that endurance kitty comp and also the snapshot. I mean, I don't know how somebody came up with that. Pretty clever, though, Nick. New contest.
Literally, that was my second note here. It says, BB Amusement Park really upping their game. That was extremely creative, and it was very difficult. So I think, I don't know who in that creative process over at CBS, whoever that person is, but, I want to high-five them through the internet. They are doing a great job.
Yes, we need to recognize them. We also need to recognize the editing team here this season, I think, as well. There's some really great editing, really funny editing, and some great new comps. And they also mixed in the comps that they kind of know that the viewers love. And not just some of the classics, but some of the ones from the past couple seasons that the viewers come to love too. So really great job with the comps, really great job with the editing this season.
Absolutely. In this season particularly, I think I really enjoyed both that, exactly what you're saying, the editing and the competition, the creativity of the comps. There was a lot more physical comps and like less mental comps. I feel like the mental comps are just, I don't know, they seem really difficult, and I think the viewer almost can't relate in a way because we can't think that far back. At least I can't. I'm like, I don't remember what happened in week 2. And so like it's kind of just like not as intriguing. The other thing I wrote down here is Dr. Will, right? Okay, I mean, I'm really curious about all the viewers out there who are watching this. I don't know if Dr. Will is the perfect person to be doing the discussion anymore. I feel like we've had so many seasons now that I think there needs to be a new person, because I guarantee you a lot of people that are cast for the show probably have no clue who that guy is when he comes to talk to them. They're like, he's a doctor, I guess. That's smart.
That's a pretty interesting point. I mean, is it time for Derek to take that chair? Is it time for Dan to take that chair, possibly? I mean, I love Dr. Will. I think he would probably be my top player of all time. But yeah, the more recent viewers and the more recent house guests probably don't know who he is. That's an interesting point.
Have zero clue. I think Derek would be an excellent choice. I think Derek, because he could really weigh in. I mean, I get it, like, it's kind of a part of like BB history now, you know, like Dr. Will, like he always does that. But I just have no clue who he is.
I mean, Derek could also provide some really great manscaping tips too. Because if you see that guy, the beard is always perfectly cut. So, you know, maybe there's some manscaping questions that some of the evicted house guests might have that Derek can also answer. So any way you look at it, Nick, he might be a good choice.
It's a win-win, Kev. It's a win-win.
That's what we call a win-win in the business.
Yes. I wrote down here, Meech, when finally given the opportunity to speak, right, Meech says, quote, "Get back to me." It's like, we talked about how all season long she basically did nothing. She just like handed this question from Dr. Will Kirby, and she says, "Why don't you get back to me?" It's like,
I mean, all they give you in that montage are softballs. There's no hard hitting questions there. And yes, she said, "Get back to me." And then, has anyone in the history of the show, Nick, cried during the jury discussion of the final 3? And sure enough, Big Meech, the tears come again because Corey's looking at her. I mean, a breeze could make this girl cry.
I wrote that down. I said, like, I just don't understand. Like I wrote, she slept through Big Brother. She gets on this like panel to discuss it and then starts crying. It's like, well, you know what? At least she was consistent. You know, at least give her that.
Hey, Nick, she was true to herself till the end.
Yeah.
Somebody that cried the whole time.
Absolutely. The next thing I wrote down here is the scales of Just Us, which I think is really interesting. When you think about this competition, you're guessing. It's really strange that the third competition, basically to win Big Brother, is actually a guessing competition, because you never actually heard them say these things, and it's kind of a wild card. You really wouldn't know, even your best friend, what they might say. It's totally, it's literally like flipping a coin. Isn't that kind of weird that that's how the show ends?
Yeah, every single season it seems like this is the contest that CBS lands on to determine the final HOH. And it is odd. You would think it would be some sort of test kind of mix everything, mix endurance with knowledge, a kind of culminating competition. But yeah, it is just kind of a guessing game, really. And both Nicole and Paul struggled at this contest too. And it was kind of almost the person that got happened to guess right one more time, because Paul got that extra one, ended up winning, but they missed the majority of them.
Yeah, they did actually. It was really, while we were watching the show, it was really interesting that this brought up. They never actually were asked to reset. So if you could hear or look out of the side of your, just look over to your side, you could actually tell if they were changing it from B to A. So mathematically, you could either match that person or go against them.
Julie asked to reset, but I'm not sure. Maybe she didn't do it every single time. But I like where your head's at, Nick. You're always hunting for those conspiracy theories.
Illuminati.
Toes. I like it.
Illuminati. Julie's part of the Illuminati. She's a lizard.
There's always something else going on below the surface. I've just got to dig deep enough.
They're all lizard people. That's what it comes down to. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have Jason or Josiah, who you can now vote for to be a part of the new Big Brother, which starts, today's Thursday, it starts on Monday.
It's crazy. It's crazy how soon it starts. Yeah, they're talking about voting one of them back in the house. And suddenly it turns into an episode of Project Runway with like Jose doing all these different poses. And Jason's like, oh, I didn't know I didn't know this is a pose off. Oh, let me start posing as well. I mean, I'm concerned because I think Jason actually deserves another shot in the house. He actually was a Nevin Award winner from last year, which are the awards that you and I give out here, that we will give out on this show. Jason was a Nevin Award winner last season, I believe, for best pre-jury player. So to go back in the house, I'm worried just because Jose's so ridiculous, calling himself the Messiah, and people want to watch him for another week before he ends up getting kicked off the house, that Jason's not going to get his rightful seat back in the house. And people are going to vote Jose back in the house, Nick.
Dude, everyone loves a beautiful disaster. You know what I mean? It's like, this is kind of harsh, but it's like a dumpster fire. Like when it happens, you come out and you look at it and you're like, it's kind of cool. And then the fire department comes and puts it out. Like, it's just a train wreck from beginning to end. And I don't think Jason's in that category. I think he's like a really good player, and I think he was highly underrated. And I hope that people take that into account when they're voting. I really do.
Nick, come on. It's not going to happen. Jose, as you said, he's the dumpster fire. He's the Messiah. People want to watch him be painfully unaware of himself and his surroundings and say stupid stuff like he's the Messiah. I'm telling you right now, even Jason's mom is not going to vote to bring Jason back in the house. Everyone's going to vote for Jose, and they shouldn't, because Jason deserves to be back in the house.
Now, is that Kevin Campbell speaking, or is that the spirit of the Messiah speaking through Kevin Campbell? That's what I'm, concerned about.
Nick,
okay.
Everything I say is for the Messiah.
So then I'm just moving along the episode here. I said Paul wins final HOH. I was super excited. But then question mark, Paul doesn't evict James. Very questionable, the whole thing. It didn't make any sense. I think it was really interesting that Julie said, we didn't see you win much, referring to James. Basically just calling him out, saying like, yeah, you didn't really do much. In the actual, when they're answering questions back and forth, Paul and Nicole, I think Paul's answer to number 1 and number 2 was like shaky at best. I think Nicole's was okay, not amazing. But I think because also Nicole said this, quote, I gave 100%, 1,000% of the time. Where was Bronte when you needed her? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nick, I was over here on my calculator just trying to figure that out myself. I had no idea what she was talking about. But yeah, I think I was surprised Paul's answers weren't as great in that Q&A as I thought they were. But then I thought he killed it in his closing argument. And, Nicole at one point, I think, said that she was just kind of hanging out and stuff was happening the way she wanted it, so she kind of took a back seat. And it just, I'm shocked every single year, Nick, and we do this show year after year, and I feel like I say this every year. Guests are not expecting these questions. They ask the same questions every single time. They ask, tell me why you think you deserve that money. They ask you about your biggest move in the game. Like, these are the same questions year after year, and the house guests stumble around, and they don't know how to answer them. So I was surprised about that. I was pleasantly surprised that they had really strong closing arguments, but the answers in the middle, I mean, how do you not know these questions are coming? There's no curveballs here.
The answers were spectacularly, outrageously horrendous. I would agree with you in the end there, though, that they did a good job giving their final speech. I think Paul's final speech was like a mic drop. I think Nicole's was great, and then it kind of wavered, and then it kind of nosedived. And then at the end even, Julie kind of threw some shade. She said, Nicole said, I'm not a public speaker. And Julie says, you did pause great. Which we all know what that means. That means you didn't do so hot.
I know, but hey, she won. I'll say this right now. She's a deserving winner. She is a deserving winner. But standing next to Paul, I thought Paul was more deserving.
Dude, words out of my mouth. I mean, if between her, James, and Paul, or between her, I would say Nicole and Paul definitely, 1 and 2, but still would rank Paul higher. I mean, he just had a rougher road. I mean, he just did, in the game, like he really made more moves. He did more. He risked more. He wagered more. I mean, he did more. And so, but what's really interesting about Big Brother is it's not fair. It's kind of like life. It's not fair. And so, it's other humans who are not thinking logically all the time. They're thinking emotionally, and that's where you end up. You end up with a decision that is not logical and is emotionally based. One thing about this. Wait, go ahead.
I'm going to ask you one question here, Nick, and see if you're kind of with me here. I feel like the whole voting by putting your key in there is becoming a little bit antiquated. I know that was back when they used to give the keys out during nominations, and then they bring it full circle and put the keys in there. But I outsaw Victor's vote, and they're all trying to cover their key, not let us see it. But we're getting peeks of letters. I feel like that's going to be something that we see them do away with here pretty soon. It just feels a little bit old Big Brother, and it seems a little antiquated. And, a couple of times every single season, I see who they're voting for. So I feel like that's something that might go away here pretty soon.
It's like having the ringtone on your cell phone, like that old school, like, ring. It's like, no one needs that. Like, that came from an actual bell, like a mallet hitting a bell in between two bells on a telephone. I mean, there are certain things that we just don't. They're so old that they try to kind of mix them with the new, and it's just weird. I think it'd be cool if they had a light maybe that lit up, or they were standing on something. It kind of built the drama behind it. I'll tell you one thing else that was really weird in that whole thing was when Paulie got up and spoke. He said I'm gonna go ahead and break the ice. They'd already been talking for a solid 20 minutes before that. There was no ice to be broken per se. It was kind of strange.
Yeah, I mean, I was even wondering at that point if they've told the house guests stop saying things, because normally, remember, they'd let them say one thing, and then a lot of times that people come up and be like, "I'm voting for the dude with the beard," and we would know exactly who you're voting for with their one comment. So I thought maybe they told the house guests you can't say anything, and then Paulie comes up and starts talking. I was even going to say, now that they're using the wall for noms, why not have them come up and push a button, either Paul or Nicole, and it lights up on a wall, and they keep that consistent, because the key thing's kind of gone away.
Dude, I'm right there with you, man. The other thing I was going to say here is throughout this year, and it was this was that reflection episode. I don't know if you remember this, but in the beginning, the episodes really painted Victor very arrogant and in your face, and I think they really wanted to be him. They really wanted him to be a villain. He turned out to be the best dude ever. I mean, I just totally, he's one of those guys, I'm going to the rap party tomorrow. I can't wait to hang out with him and be dude, you're awesome. I want to hear his ridiculous laugh. I just want to he's one of those dudes that you just want to kind of hang out with. I think that the progression of Victor, awesome.
I already sent him an invitation to my birthday party. I went to my doctor's office and I put Victor's name down for all my emergency contact information. The guy's a sweetheart. He's America's favorite player. And how can you not like Victor? I mean, he was great. He battled back, and he had this thing that we all could relate to about, he's trust everybody, and he keeps getting stabbed in the back, but he keeps fighting back. And then he gets stabbed in the back and knocked down again, and he climbs back up. That was his story the entire season. And it's something I think everyone can relate to. And he never turned on anybody. He never yelled at anybody. And he made it pretty far in the game. So I don't know how you can't not like Victor.
I just was so happy that he won America's favorite player and not James again. That's all I can say. Oh, thank God. So speaking of favorite players and like, dude, shall we do the Nevins? I mean, I think it's a perfect time.
I have one more thing that I wanted to throw out there, and I don't understand this either, and maybe you can shed some light on me. Why do you bring back the pre-jury players and not plan a little bit of time to ask them questions? I would love to know what it's like for those players who are in the house that are now outside watching the game, get their thoughts, get their opinions. And CBS does this every year. The only time that we know, they do a quick camera pan past all these pre-jury players. We get a round of applause, and then we find out who the winner is. You have them there. Why not budget time in your show to throw some questions their way? I want to know what they think about the season, Nick. Do you?
So on my season, they actually did do that. They had like some scripted stuff, and like people like already knew what they were going to talk about. But my season was like racially charged, so like they were really trying to like make an example of it. It was kind of like a really dodgy, like, hey, like 15 was, speaking of dumpster fires, like Big Brother 15 was dumpster fire of all dumpster fires. But the reason they don't do that is because as someone who's on the outside of the house, you have all this information that I don't think they want to risk the liability of you saying something that would spoil it for the other members. Like, they literally keep you separated because you have all this information. They still haven't been outside the house yet. So all of the jury members have never been in the real world yet, but all of the pre-jury members have. And so there's like all this information that you could spoil, or you could say something, you could get them really riled up, and you could tell them anything you want. You know, I mean, like, it could potentially it could be crazy.
Couldn't you interview them after they vote, though? Like, everybody votes. Then right before you announce the winner, you bring back the pre-jury players, ask them a couple questions, go to commercial, then you announce the winner of Big Brother. I don't know.
I just don't think they have time for it because, you know, they made time for Paulie's speech.
That's right, yeah. Nick, shall we move on to our awards here? This is a tradition on our show. We've got Kevin and Nick. So we tried to come up with, what's a name that we could give these house guests? What's a name for our awards? And we very cleverly, tongue-in-cheek, say that we come up with the Nevins, Nick. We give Nevins to the house guests for various categories, don't we?
I love the name, dude. I love the name. I think Nevin is, it's better than Kick, right? I mean, yeah. Kickless.
Yeah.
All right, man.
I think we made a good choice.
All right, you want to start out? You want to give us, what's the first category?
Our first category that I have, and this is for the entire season here, our favorite house guest for the entire season. I'll give a Nevin to my favorite house guest. Nick will give a Nevin for his favorite house guest. I'm going to say my Nevin goes to, as we've talked about, how can you not love Victor? He was a comp beast. He battles back inside the house. Great longevity in the game. Won comps. He was entertaining, nice to people. He was my favorite house guest overall here this summer.
Dude, that is definitely, a wise choice. Mine, however, goes to his best buddy, which would be Paul. And I think he's actually my favorite house guest because he didn't win. And so if he can't win the $500,000, at least we could give him a Nevin. You know what I mean?
That's right, yeah. Maybe he can burn it down and he can go to the pawn shop and sell it and get some of that money back.
Yes, exactly. What are they made of, by the way?
They're very expensive, Nick. They're a combination diamond gold type of emerald ruby jewel that we make them out of. It's very, I shouldn't even be talking about it right now because someone's going to break in and take them. I have them sitting over here. So we'll mail them out.
Diamond, emerald, ruby jewels. I mean, dude, that's my favorite. That's my birthstone, actually. I don't know if you knew that.
They're lovely. And you know what? I commend you posing for these Nevins, Nick. You went to our sculptor. You posed in the nude for these Nevins, and we're now going to send them out to house guests. I commend you for that. I think that's great.
I think the sculptor got it wrong. It was really cold in the room. I don't know what happened, but there was like a breeze. Nick, I don't know.
Worry not, Nick. I sent him back to the guy. He beefed him up this year, so worry not here. Should we get to our next category here of our most entertaining house guest of the year? Nick, do you want to share your Nevin first? For most,
I will go. Yes, I'm going to give my Nevin away to Corey. Now, whether Corey knows it or not, he was the most entertaining house guest because of all of the cutaways, of all the blank stares, of all of the ridiculousness. Like, there just was like so little to the Corey chapter that it had to be extracted as pure entertainment value. And so, he's the most discerning candidate of the entertainment.
Yeah. It sounded a little weird when you said I'm going to give my Nevin away to Corey. I didn't know where you were going with that. But yes, I think it was a good call on that. I think the editor went to that Harry Potter thing so many times. And I think every time they edited in somewhere, it made me laugh every time, Nick. So I like that call by you. I'm going to say my Nevin goes to, for most entertaining house guest, Paul. I mean, he was almost our narrator for the entire summer. He had the catchphrases, which at times got a little ridiculous, but he was always fun. He always made it entertaining. It was a great combination between a really fun social game, good strategy, and how can you not give a Nevin to a guy that's got love for an inflatable pelican? So he gets my Nevin here this summer.
Pablo was a good inflatable pelican, and he got his own seat.
I wonder if here's my question. I wonder if did Paul inflate Pablo at any point? Is that weird, do you think? You think they had a moment there? Like, do you think do you think it got awkward? Maybe that's why Pablo left with Michelle?
I'm not going to get into the wording of how that would work, but yes, I mean, there's a potential chance of that.
Nick, it's best not to think about it. It's best not to think about it.
All right, so our next category is best player. I'm going to go ahead and give this Nevin to, again, Paul. I don't know. I mean, again, I think I'm maybe like trying to like, give back to someone that I think got so robbed. I don't know. But like, I really think that after 99 days, the guy that played the most, like if we could just call them, I don't know, like innings, right? He played the most innings. He had the most chances to go to bat. He was on the block 6 times. I mean, he really made some really harsh moves, and somehow or another, like, he made it through the social game. Like, he didn't really make anyone so outstandingly angry that they were gunning for him. He played a great game. So, best player, Paul.
And you know what? We're going to have to figure out a large box to ship Paul these Nevins in, because he gets my nod as well. He gets my Nevin for best player. I mean, multiple comp wins. He was on the block numerous times, had to fight off the block, had to win vetoes when if he didn't win vetoes, he would have been kicked out of the house, and he won the last 2 HOHs. So there's not really another argument, I feel like. I feel like Paul is the clear runaway winner for the best player of the summer. He gets my Nevin. This one's fun, Nick. Let's go to the worst player of the summer. And we actually have a couple of pretty good candidates here. I feel like this is the point in the award show where they show clips of like candidates' worst moments. We see Glenn up there. We see Jose talking about the Messiah. But I'm going with one. My Nevin goes to Big Meech as the worst player.
Oh, man.
She was in the house for a long period of time. She had a chance to do something other than sleep and cry and eat. I mean, to the point where CBS itself basically compared her to a lazy cat. She cries at the end when the jury's talking about. And Nick, I think she started every sentence with, as a super fan, ... I mean, we get it. You're a big fan of the show. You should have been better. You weren't, Michelle. She gets my Nevin.
That is a very honorable choice. I'm actually going to go with Bronte for my Nevin. Yeah, because we didn't get to see a whole lot because she was evicted so early. But I don't think she played it, like, she never played it right ever. Like, she never played it actually right. And again, like, that's coming from a guy who lasted 2 weeks, right? So, like, I don't have credit in that department, but I as a viewer, I can just say, you know what? I just don't think you did it right. I don't think you made any of the right moves. Bronte gets my Nevin for the worst player.
Nick, hold on. But she was in the Spy Girls. They did pretty well, right?
Yeah, she was also a mathematician.
That's right. And she said, I mean, I knew she was doomed, Nick, when she came in the house day one and said, I'm Bronte, like Brontosaurus, right? And then she made like some Brontosaurus sound effect. I knew she was done day one. Shall we get into our next?
We shall, man. Let's rock and roll.
All right. So this Nevin goes to the most underrated player here, the most underrated. Nick, do you want to get your Nevin out there first?
I will. So here we go. And this is a player that I wanted to see so much more of and was so disappointed they left so early. And that's because from season 14 to 18, I always thought this is the person that I would want on my team, and that person is Frank Udy. I just thought like he had so much more. I feel like he got like boogie syndrome. He got evicted, but he had so much more in him, and so I felt like he could have been our villain. I really think that he could have been our villain. I think pushed to the edge, like, you know, he could have got charming enough, but he really could have had that like wild card craziness. He would have been such a good villain too. So that's why I think he was the most underrated.
Great. I like that one there. I am going with my Nevin for most underrated, and this may surprise you. This goes to Natalie here. Now, it's probably because very early on, I mean, I thought she was basically, you know, Victoria 2.0. I had such a low bar for her. Didn't really expect much from her. And then I thought as the game went on, she actually surprised me with some comp wins, some strategy, a little bit of longevity in the game, and then rallying a little bit and throwing James under the bus a little bit to try to save herself. Like, she showed me a little bit down the stretch, but I do think it's because early on my bar was just so low. But then she showed me she had a little bit more in there than I thought she did. And I think if she had came out a little bit earlier and played the game that she did as the season went on, I think she could have been a fairly impressive player in the game.
I am impressed by how far she made it. That's all I can say. I'm very impressed by how far in the game she actually went. Our next award, our next Nevin, is the category is the most overrated player. Kevin, if you'd like to go ahead first.
Yeah, and you know what? It's very interesting that you mentioned Frank's name. And actually, believe it or not, Frank gets my Nevin for the most overrated player. And it's actually because of many of the things that you said, Nick. I was very excited for Frank to come back in this season. I thought he was a really great competitor, really great with strategy. His social game was great. And we talked about it on the show. First couple weeks, he was playing the best game, I think, the best game of anyone in the house. And then I feel like he just started feeling bulletproof, started feeling invincible, felt like he could do no wrong. And I feel like that his ego kind of got the best of him, and then the whole house turned on him. So I think had he continued to play that game early on, he would have continued to go. But I ended up feeling that he was a little bit overrated because I thought he would be smarter than that, and he would last a little bit longer. My
most overrated player is James. Now, he defended himself and shedded some light on it with his interview with Julie, and he said that, like, you know, he took some pointers from some other house guests, and so, you know, he really wanted to play super low key, kind of like a Dan game, which is like basically like win nothing, let your social game totally ride. But I don't know if that's I don't even know if that's true. I mean, maybe, you know, again, we talk about this all the time. People like rationalize in posts. You know, they say, well, yeah, that was my strategy once it worked out. Just like, yeah, I planned to lose that comp and then not get evicted by random chance. And then I really had it all worked out. Like, that's how I think this thing came about. I think he is most overrated. For him to get third is shocking. So, yeah, most overrated, James.
I don't disagree with you, but I would like to take just a brief second to defend James a little bit, because I feel like this is kind of the narrative now. The show's, now that the season's over, I do think that James knew who he was on this show. And I think James knew he is not really gonna win competitions. He's not this fighter and cutthroat and strategy. He knew that his best shot to win was to have everybody like him and to try to fly under the radar. So I don't think that he didn't try to win comps. I just don't think that was his game. I think his game was the social aspect, and he was hoping it would carry him relatively far. But I would agree with you when I think he got really distracted by Natalie. I think that messed with his head, and he kind of lost his game a little bit. So I can totally understand why he gets your Nevin.
I actually think Natalie was maybe the one reason he stayed in the game. I think actually by him partnering up with Natalie, it kept him focused enough to not get into other people's business. And it kept him so under the radar because he was so focused on Natalie and not everyone else that it actually kept him going in the game. And plus, you always want that one person to kind of just like keep your sanity. And so, yeah. I mean, I agree with you. He played to his strengths, but I think he's super overrated.
Yeah. All right. Our next Nevin goes to the best pre-jury player. Nick, do you want to take this one?
Absolutely. So this is someone that I thought was just going actually thought they were going to win. I thought they were going to take 1, 2, or 3. They were one of my top 3 picks, and that's because the bloodline was so strong, just like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Tiffany, I thought she was going to do so well, and I think she could have done really well. I think she was just a little short to adapt to how the game was going to be played. I mean, we saw all the same types of things with her and Vanessa, the way she played the game. I just don't think that the warm-up period was quite right. It might not have been the right cast for her. I don't know, but I think she gets the best pre-jury.
That's a good call by you. So this, again, may surprise you. My best pre-jury player, my Nevin, goes to Frank.
I thought it was going to go to Glenn, so that's good. Okay.
Yeah. It's a tie between Glenn and the Messiah. No, I'm going to go Frank with best pre-jury for all the reasons that I said before. I mean, really, I kind of classified him as overrated because he had all this potential, and he kind of burned out pretty quickly. And I thought if he played the game that he played early on, first couple weeks, and stopped grabbing Day's butt and stopped, walking around the house like he was bulletproof, I think he could have gone really far in the game. So I was disappointed to see him go out that early.
Now, our very last Nevin goes to the category is the best jury player. Now, Kev, would you like to take this one?
Sure, I'll start out. Now, I think Paul would win this, but I'm not going to put Paul in this category since he was the last jury member to be able to go in. I'm going to give my Nevin to Victor. I've got a lot of respect for the game he played, battling back in the house time and time again, making it as far as he did, winning all the comps that he did, having his back up against the wall, and really ultimately aligning himself with Paul, somebody that we kind of argue should have won the game. So he was a really good partner that he had. There was some strong loyalty there. I'm going to give mine to Paul with an honorable mention, Nevin. So it's like a sawed in half Nevin to Mama Day. Her game's always impressed me. She did better this year than she did before, but she's getting my honorable mention. I think she's got a lot of big brother potential. If she plays this game a third time, maybe she's going to finally realize that.
Yeah, I'm just looking to try to play a second time,
Yeah.
Great minds must think alike, because right there is my vote for my Nevin. And there we go.
There it
Victor. I just think he's so likable, really battled back. I mean, and sometimes people walk away from the show and they're just scarred, right? And it takes years and years and years for them to kind of scrub the stuff that they said or the cut that they got. Other times people walk away and they have a halo. It's like, because you don't know the cut you're going to get, and you only have control over the stuff you say. So that's obviously being smart. But Victor's going to walk away with a great cut, and people are really going to see that he was a very genuine, true, likable guy. And I think if anyone who actually won this show, it might actually be someone like Victor, who gets to walk away scot-free with just an absolutely amazing resume from all of America. America's favorite player might actually be the long tail, best position to be in. You get some cash, but you also come out unscathed. So maybe he's actually the true winner.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely true. Well, those were our Nevins right there. For everybody that won a Nevin, don't worry. I'm going to ship it. I'm not going to pay for it to overnight to you. It's going to be whatever the cheapest shipping is. So it's probably going to get there. You'll have to route it.
Because we spent so much on the opal diamond crested ruby sapphires.
Exactly. As our viewers can tell, we got a pretty high budget here on this show. So please, our viewers, again, comment on our Nevins. If you think we were wrong, if there's a Nevin that you want to give, if you think we totally blew it, or if we gave a good Nevin, let us know in the comments here.
And let us know what conspiracy theory you think is actually the reason why Nicole won. And if you guys say it's because everyone's a lizard person over at CBS, that one's already taken. I already said that one. Kev, where can we find you?
Well, Nick, I was going to say, before I start dropping my Twitter and my website, we've got more Big Brother coming up, right? We've got Big Brother Over the Top coming up here very soon. And there's not a lot of information out there. They're being very hush-hush. But, Nick, I have sources. I have deep underground sources on the inside.
Are they so deep underground that they have scales because they're actually a lizard people?
I mean, it might be right there, yeah. Those conspiracy theories. It's called the internet, Nick, is my source. But for a lot of people out there
made by Illuminati
that don't know much about the show, I've got a couple really the kind of the structure, the format. I want to share it with the viewers. Nick, I don't even think you know the structure yet, do you?
I know nothing about this. In fact, my buddy who works at CBS, he came in to watch the finale, and we were talking about it, and like I had ran into someone who was potentially in casting, but I know nothing about the structure. I know nothing. All I know is that it's shorter and that the pot that they win at the end is smaller. That's all I know.
Yes. So I'm going to give our viewers right now, and obviously, you're able to still live feed Big Brother Over the Top, but they are going to have, for people that consume it as we were this season, and as we kind of, the lens of our show was like the home viewer. They are going to have weekly full episodes. So they will have a rundown of the week's events, followed by the live eviction ceremony. And that's going to be Wednesdays, Nick, at 10 p.m., 7 p.m. Pacific time. So they are going to essentially, it looks like, kind of have one episode that kind of really summarizes the week. They're also going to have weekly replays. So it's going to be a quick recap of the crucial moments that happen throughout the day. And that will be available Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays, and that will be at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And apparently they're going to have something called safety ceremonies on Over the Top. So those are going to be live on Saturday and Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern, and that's where the HOH will actually reveal the house guests who are safe for that week. So they're having safety ceremonies. Yeah. And then they're also going to allow you to view live diary room sessions. And that's going to be Tuesdays and Fridays at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. So you can see live diary room sessions. And then they'll also do evicted Q&A sessions with Julie. And that'll be every Thursday afternoon. And then ultimately, Nick, and this is a little bit of a bombshell, the Big Brother winner for Over the Top, not going to be chosen by jury. It's going to be chosen by the fans. The fans will vote for the winner of Big Brother Over the Top.
Wow. See, so now, this gets back to my conspiracy theory. I want to know if they're public, where they're public. Like, if it were by like a third-party source like Twitter, then I'd believe it. I think that's awesome. My only question is, how many of the players are animals? Because if they're not taking our suggestion from last year with having a golden retriever, a guinea pig, and a hawk play, I don't know if this is going to be as entertaining as I thought it was going to be.
Hey, who knows? Partner with Animal Planet. CBS and Animal Planet come together. We've got 16 animals in a house. We'll see who makes it out here. But that's all your information about Big Brother Over the Top. And I can't believe it's starting next week. But it was a great season, really fun season. And again, twists here all the way to the end, which is what CBS promises with this show.
I think Over the Top is going to be really cool. The reason I think it's going to be really cool is that it's the first time that North America CBS has taken into account a different version of Big Brother, right? So we've had the same structure just with different twists, but there's never been like a truly different structure since Big Brother 1 and then essentially 2 through 18. So I think it's actually going to be really interesting. I'm definitely going to watch, that's for sure. I think it's really cool that it's like very interactive in the sense that we can actually watch these things live. I know it's a big digital push, so like they're really trying to get a lot of eyeballs on the CBS.com or the CBS All Access. The one thing that I do know for sure, the one piece of information I have is that this will not count towards the summer Big Brothers. So it won't be numbered and it won't take place. It'll be its own thing, its own separate Big Brother. It's almost like Big Brother celebrity version. It's like a shortened version and the kind of sort of different rules. So it will be completely separate from the summer edition.
Well, there we go. And Nick, I think we're going to have to come back, right? We're going to have to do this show, carry it on, talk about some Big Brother Over the Top. We'll have to see what the format of our show is, how often we're doing them, but we definitely want to check in with you, the viewer, and talk about Big Brother Over the Top.
Absolutely, because we know Jose is going to be on there. Jose is going to give us like content for at least the first 4 or 5. I think it only goes 10 weeks, but like, what if Jose wins, dude? I mean, that could be glorious for us, dude.
Nick, if Jose wins, officially the world is coming to an end. So there's going to be rioting in the streets, raining frogs outside. It is going to be the apocalypse. Yeah. But again, for everybody out there watching our videos week after week, thank you so much. All the comments we've got, all the retweets, all the likes, all the views. Thank you so much for watching these videos. We do them because you watch them, so we really appreciate it. I'm Kevin, and I'm at KevSoup on Twitter. The website is kevsoup.com. I hope you enjoyed Big Brother 18 like we did, and thank you again for watching our show.
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nick Uhas. And just as Kev said, thank you so much for watching. This was probably one of my favorite. I really enjoyed doing this show for this season. It gave us a chance to just kind of free think and just kind of talk to you, the viewer, about what this episode was. And I really enjoyed this season and talking about it because a lot of really cool stuff happened, but also we got to kind of talk more about the episode and not necessarily entirely just about gameplay. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any suggestions for what we should do for the digital show, since we'll be doing this show for that, let us know in the comment section below. And hit that subscribe button, which will be right here, because we want to make sure you never miss an episode since it'll carry on into the fall. And we will see you really soon.